Awesome, we're live. Aloha and shalom. Whew, you guys are sitting in a tree as usual. Have you tied up into the tree right over here next to me. So you'll be swaying with the wind, although there's not much of it today. Make sure you're comfortable, you have lots of water. And while you guys are tuning in, I'm gonna go ahead and get my little deck together. So some of you guys might be new to these activations. They happen every single week. They've been going on for a few years now. Every single week. I use the moon as a measurement of time, nothing more. So these activations don't really have anything to do with the moon other than the fact that we use it as a measurement of time so that we can meet 4 times a month. So we go by these monthly cycles for the collective consciousness and divide it into 4 quarters as represented so well by the moon. Remember that the light of the moon reflects the light of the sun, reflects the light of the one. And this light is back of all things, inside all things, including you and me. So for these last few years, I was doing tarot activations, and I decided it was time to switch to Hebrew activations. So I'm now using, and last week was the first time, I'm now using the Hebrew alphabet to channel these collective messages every week. And as with one, so it is with all. So this message might feel like it's just for you, but you'll also be able to see how it relates to the collective consciousness. So for everybody tuning in live right now, you're all helping me to open the portal, so thank you. And if you can, just take a moment to ask that all of your energy, all the energy you've been carrying today, all week, all month, maybe for months, maybe stagnant energy, things that have been recycling in your mind, the same thoughts, the same questions and curiosities, all that, put it aside just for this portal, okay? For those of you who are watching the recording, please do the same. We need to create this space that will allow for the information to come in, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. So if we ask ourselves, what is a space that already exists, that is the most expansive space we could possibly tune into, that would be the infinite space of the heart. We're not bound to time or space in this place of the heart. So just meet me there and take a moment to set aside all those recurring thoughts, the heaviness you've been carrying. And you can, if you're not ready to let go of those parts of yourself, those thoughts that you're attached to or those feelings, just say to those thoughts or to those feelings, hey, you know what, have a seat just for now. And at the end of this activation, if I'm not a completely different person, I will allow you back in. But just for now, take a seat, right? We're doing this activation for the one, for the collective, for the highest good of all of us as one. So, of course, because of the divine design of the universe, it wants to support this process of us making the space for this wisdom to enter. This is the divine design of consciousness and of the universe. It's self-sustaining. It's ever conspiring in our favor. Just like your cells immediately get to work to fight off a virus, this is how the universe works for us, clearing the way. So all we need to do is remember that and ask. So in the name of the highest good of one and all, we ask that we be the open vessels that we need to be right here, right now, in order to open this portal up as big as possible to allow the highest information to come through. And while I'm just shuffling this tiny little handmade deck here, go ahead and share this with whomever you think will appreciate this, whoever you think will appreciate this message, you know, whatever groups you're a part of that are networks for bringing more light into our world, networks of healing, of truth, of faith, of happiness, of joy, self-love, collective love, raising our collective frequency. You know, if you're part of any of these groups, go ahead and share so they can tune in with us right now and assist us in opening this portal. So these letters represent archetypal wisdom. And all of these pieces of wisdom are universally true. They're always applicable no matter where you are and no matter when you are. So they're always all relatable. But by law, the cards that we pull, the letters that we reveal, will be the ones that are the priority focus. This is based on natural law. So even if, you know, you don't like divination, you don't believe in divination, or you've had a bad experience around like tarot or cards in general, I'm asking you to just open up your heart, open up your mind, and understand that this is a new experience. This is something different. This is harmless. It's only helpful. It's simply a message of positivity and support that can inspire us to move through this next week with the most grace, with the most ease, and feeling a little more confident and prepared in our process. What could be wrong about that? Right? So go ahead and connect with the letters of the Hebrew alphabet that I'm holding in my hand right now. See, they look like this. Go ahead and connect. You can picture yourself right here now with me under this tree in the desert of Sedona, Arizona, because it's a very special place. If you've never heard of Sedona, you should look it up. Super magical place. You can see a thread of light going from your third eye or from your heart to the deck. Use your imagination, but just be here now. We're all here. We're in these letters just as they are in us. They are the building blocks of all of creation. So thank you in advance, archetypes, faces of the one, parts of self, for revealing to us those aspects that want our attention right now for the highest good. So we're at the final quarter right now. So what questions are we going to ask? The final quarter is the last leg of the cycle. We had the full moon last week. And the full moon was all about, okay, we're receiving the big picture right now. We're receiving all the pieces to the puzzle. And we've been looking at that this past week. And now we're ready to integrate any last pieces of information, call in acceptance for the process we just walked through, tie it up, close it up, and prepare for next week's new moon, or just new beginning, fresh start. When you look to nature at something like the moon, and you see its cycles, its rhythms, you can better understand what's happening inside of yourself, because it's only a reflection. So again, it's not about the moon, but what the moon is revealing about the all. So this I like to call the in-between week, the in-between activation, because this week is all about closing up the last cycle and beginning the new. We got one foot in the old world and one foot in the new. I love those in-betweens. I love bridging the opposites, or bridging two different parts. That's why we're here, to be these bridgers, you know. So for this final quarter, what we'd like to ask is, how can we best close up the last cycle? What's something that needs a little bit more of our attention to just close it up? Something we've been working on but could use a little bit more of our attention in order to close up the cycle. And what's to come for the new cycle? Got to get that electromagnetism flowing. Let's reveal. All right, so what we've not quite closed up yet and needs our attention, the Daled. Daled is 4. It has a number value of 4. It's the 4th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. When you think 4, think door. 4, door. Daled, Daled, door. The pictorial symbol or hieroglyphic symbol that's associated with this letter, because each letter is associated with the symbol, is a door. It's a doorway. And this one is all about how are we protecting and nurturing ourselves and all that we care about, all that we love, all that we value. How are we protecting that? How are we ensuring that the door to well-being remains open? You could think a bit about it like this. When the door is closed, we're closing up opportunities for future growth. When the door is closed, we come to a dead end. There's no opportunity to grow, to nurture ourselves, to continue progressing on the path we've been walking. But an open door is the opposite. An open door is saying yes to opportunities, creating that openness and receptivity to continue to grow. So if this one is coming up, if this letter, Dalet, has shown itself in regard to this last cycle, and the question was, what's something we still need to work on to close up for the last cycle? Okay, I'm seeing something really clearly here. So we've already been doing this. We've already been seeing where we've been keeping those doors closed, those opportunities in our lives. And we've already been seeing where the doors can open, where the opportunities can be not just opened up, but can be created by us. We've already been doing that, working on developing those opportunities for us to grow even further, even further, even further. So it's not that we haven't been doing this and so we have to play catch up. It's not exactly that. I'm seeing very specifically that it's just about, I see it energetically, so I'm gonna try to put this into words. It's as though we're giving it a blast of energy before this portal closes and we begin the next chapter. So we're already familiar with this energy. So it's like these archetypes or these higher aspects of our selves are telling us, you're already familiar with this process. You've been doing this. You've been getting that confidence and that courage to act on opportunities and to also act on creating new ones. So now that you know what that feels like, really sit with it, give it your fullest presence before moving on with the next part of the process. Give it your fullest presence, give it our fullest power, so that we can plant that seed in the best way for these future manifestations of these opportunities. So it's really just about acknowledging, honoring, and giving thanks for what we've been going through this month, of seeing all the new ways, new opportunities that we can continue to grow, that we can ensure our own growth and the growth of others around us. And in that acknowledgement of just how far we've come this month with this process. We supercharge it. We super boost it. When you put your focus on something, it grows, right? This is like Law of Attraction 101. So that's all they're saying. Simply take a moment to use all of your energy on acknowledging the ways in which we have opened the door this month, so that that door stays open. Because if we just rush right through it, we won't continue to open doors. We won't be grateful enough for the process to ensure its continuance. We need to really acknowledge that open door and make sure, like the gatekeeper, the guard of that door, we keep it open. We don't just rush through it ungratefully and slam it behind us. I see a vision also of holding that door open, not just for ourselves, but for each other. So we're just acknowledging these opportunities that we've created to step into our higher power, to be more responsible for our lives, for our growth, to care for the lives and the growth of those lives, of those around us. And we're keeping that door open. I also see 4. The number 4 is all about not just the door and the daled, but it's about foundation. Think of 4 legs of a table, something to stand on. It's that foundation. It's the structure or the order that protects the circle of life. You see this again and again in universal symbolism. 4 connected to the square, which is the structure. So how have we this month already been creating that structure or foundation for us to safely grow upon, sustainably grow upon? And how can we, again, stop, acknowledge that foundation to fortify it, reinforce it, so that we remember all this work we've done this month and keep going from there, so that we don't have to keep taking steps backwards. Okay, so before I pull the other card, just to sum it up so far, we are acknowledging how far we've come, all of the doors that we've opened up this month that don't have to be temporary opportunities. These doors we've opened are going to lead to so much more greatness, and we must know it and we must sow it. We know that this is only the beginning, and we know and acknowledge and are so grateful for the fact that we have developed this foundation this month. We've begun opening the door to opportunity, and we're grateful. All right, for the next card, what are we stepping into next week for the new moon? Again, doesn't have anything to do with the moon. The new moon and that darkness in the sky is just reflecting a fresh start for us, a chance to grow our own inner light in a new way. New opportunity to continue expanding in our light, just like the moon will grow from the new moon to the next final quarter. I should say until the full, because then it starts going down again, right? From our perspective. So what is the theme, the lesson, the challenge, and the gift all in one? What is that? What are we about to step into? What's the opportunity we're about to step into to grow our light in a new way? Woo, baby. You guys get to see my Fool card. This is what I would compare to the Fool on the Royal Path or the Tarot. But because this is my Hebrew alphabet deck, I chose to use this for the Fool, which is the energy of just absolute trust in the path, in the divine plan unfolding. So I love that. I love when this archetype is chosen for the new moon or the new beginning, because it's obviously so aligned. First of all, this energy of openness, trust, new beginnings, it's present each moment when considering the true timelessness of our nature as consciousness. So the lesson, what's the lesson there? What are we being shown? That we need to bring it back to the basics. That with this new beginning, the best thing we can do is stay open. Check back with our own intuition. Check into our own intuition, our inner voice. How are we allowing that to guide us rather than having expectation and making assumptions about what's to come? How can we just be present here now? We're bringing it back to the basics, to the fundamentals. Because this lesson is something that should really always be with us. The wisdom that comes with this archetype is something that should always be with us. Even when we're exploring the other letters, the other archetypes, all other wisdoms, we're looking through the lens of this one. This is the real eye that we want to be seeing through all the time. So we're bringing it back to the fundamentals. What I'm seeing here is that as a collective consciousness and as individuals, we are being given the chance to, again, reinforce this foundation, right? Because the 4 Dalit door, that was our foundation. We just spoke about that, right? So it's like we're being given this chance for a new beginning. We have the foundation. Now it's a fresh start to build upon that foundation. Wow, I love that. So you could think of this as a square at the bottom, and we're building up from there. But in order to build the best tower, in order to continue to think, say, and do things in the highest way, for the highest good of the one, we do need to bring it back to the fundamentals before we can get into the rest of the ABCs, the rest of the alphabet, the rest of the archetypes. We need to come back to that 0 point. That's what's going to ensure our sustainability on this path of building a new life upon this foundation. So there's nothing more important to know at the point of a new beginning, like next week is going to be. There's nothing more important to know than these fundamental truths represented by this right here, this card that I made. So what does that look like? What should our headspace, what should our mind look like as we prepare for that? Well, of course, after acknowledging the foundation that we built and really solidifying that, we can then step into this awareness of this new beginning we're being offered right now. And we know above all else that whatever is happening on this material plane, it's an effect of a cause that is unseen, but felt. The most important thing we need to focus on right now is our connection to Source, that we're pulling from this source of energy that's infinite, that we're connected to it. We're not even pulling, we're literally just channeling. We're receiving and we're transmitting this energy. So that's a big one, okay? As we start this new beginning next week, building upon this foundation we've now created, we're remembering our true source so that we don't subconsciously behave as though our power is coming from somewhere else. Okay, it's sort of like when let's say you're exercising and you're doing push-ups. If you don't first ground yourself and remember where you're pulling in your energy from, your power from, which is your center, then you burn out easily. You move around, flailing around like you're living from the outside in rather than the inside out. But taking a moment to acknowledge the source of energy that you're pulling from helps to get the energy flowing in the right way, in the right order, and sustainably so. So that's what we're being shown to do right now with this. This is one big aspect of this, okay? So before we begin any project, before we get deep into our own thoughts, or before we get deep into a conversation, or before we act on anything, we're going to first take that moment to ground and say, okay, where is my energy coming from? What is the source? Consider the source. Actually, it's funny, that's a favorite band of mine. You can look them up. Consider the Source. They're very talented, awesome dudes. Consider the source. It's so fantastic. They named their band after it. But really, taking that moment to pause and consider the source helps us to stay grounded in our mission, in our purpose. And it helps to maintain that energy flow from the inside out rather than getting a little caught up and entangled in our material world, and therefore the energy becomes confused and starts flowing the opposite way from the outside in. So consider the source. And in this consideration, you remain connected, because this is the nature of consciousness in the mind. When you acknowledge and consider the source, you're one with it. So if you stay connected to source in mind, you stay connected to source in body too. As in one dimension, so in all. So that's the first aspect of this new beginning that's on its way next week, with this new moon as a reflection of that. Acknowledge source, consider source, and stay in that space of connection to source as you pull in your energy and use it to create whatever beautiful things you're going to create. If any test comes up where you begin to doubt yourself, or you doubt the divine plan's unfolding, you remember this, that literally nothing can be outside of that plan. And if you've had any fears lately, hesitations, fears about what's to come, oh God, if that's not relatable, I don't know what is, because we're living in pretty crazy times. So if you've had any fears, if you've had any hesitations, just come back to that space. This archetype reminds us to come back to that space of trust in the divine plan's unfolding and tell yourself, what am I going to do? Sit here paralyzed in fear? Am I going to sit here just so scared for so long that I'm never even going to take the first step on the path that I know I must take? So it's interesting because, as I said before we pulled these, all of these cards, all of these letters, they represent archetypal wisdom, wisdom of the higher realms, and they're universally applicable. So you can see how these two themes can apply to your life anytime. But notice how they go together right now, and they fit so perfectly with this closing up the last cycle and beginning the new. We're closing it, acknowledging this foundation we've created. We've done the work in solidifying this foundation for form. We've created the form for the new beginning. I mean, if you don't see the connection, I can't make it any clearer. So again, while all of these archetypal wisdoms are applicable at any time, the ones we choose are for a reason. You either believe everything's for a reason or nothing is at all. Like Albert Einstein said, you either believe everything is a miracle or nothing at all. So how cool is that? How aligned is that? Closing up the last chapter by acknowledging the form we've created for our future growth to flourish, to be sustained. And now there's nothing more we need to do to prepare for the new beginning upon this foundation, but bring it back to the fundamentals. Bring it back to those universal truths that are at the foundation of all these others. Okay, again, like for those of you who've been following for a few years now, you can compare it to like the Fool and the rest of the deck. The Fool is the access point for the rest. The Fool is the lens that you see the others through. So when you think of this energy very much like that Fool, that fresh start, that new beginning, that super consciousness, you begin to understand these two cards here. You begin to understand that once we have that foundation, all we need is this Fool-like energy, this super consciousness, to be in that space of full receptivity to source and openness to that divine plan being carried out through us. There's literally nothing else we need to know then. It's like this new foundation has been set up for us to remember that anything else that we try to do when we try to do more, be more, oh, how else can I be perfect? This one is reminding us that you're already perfect and you already have everything you need inside of you to build upon this new foundation you've just laid. In fact, the more you go out of your way to try to be more, do more, be a perfectionist, the more we're missing the point. We're bringing it back to simplicity right now. They say that the kingdom of heaven belongs to the children, that unless we be like children, we cannot enter those gates, which are always open in the ever-present now, waiting for us to activate our innocence, which can never be lost, can be regained any moment. And in order to do that, we need to simplify, and we need to bring things back to the roots of our truth and who we are. So that's what we're doing right now. This is a message saying you laid the foundation, you did the work, now it's time to simplify. And not just simplify, but cling to those truths that are at that level of simplicity. So the work is not in knowing what you need to do, because we know what we need to do. Our intuition will guide our way. But it's about staying on track, actually following through, acting. The guidance is always there, but it's up to us to activate our will to actualize that guidance. That's where the work really lies for this next month, the new moon, new beginning that's about to come. It's about seeing how much we can just fall back on, surrender to, rely on those simplest truths that will always prove loyal, that will always get us through any situation in the highest way possible. And again, what that looks like is trusting in the divine plan, considering source and staying connected to it, knowing where our energy is really coming from, knowing that we have everything inside of us, knowing that there's a new beginning each moment, letting go of fears because we can't stand there paralyzed in fear and we must take the first steps, knowing that there's always going to be highs and lows in life. And so are we just going to give up then because of the lows? Because there's also the highs. And this is a never-ending process. So for us to sit here stubborn and say, well, then I'm not moving. Well, then you'll always just be in that position of stagnancy until one day you inevitably realize that we are here to act. We are here to move. We are here to progress. There's no giving up. There's no out. There's no way out. Even if you, God forbid, took your own life, do you know that you'd end up exactly where you left off? You would pick up right where you left off. There's no out. Consciousness is immortal, eternal. Okay, so it's just about bringing our awareness back to the simplest of truths as we begin a new cycle, not trying to take on more, not trying to be more, just being who we are and knowing that all the answers are within us. Staying connected to this idea of super consciousness, as that's our true nature. We are more than these bodies. So stay connected to source. Remember the simplest of truths at the foundation of all of creation and stick to those. Unwavering in your trust and your faith in those fundamental truths and really applying them to your thoughts, to your words, to your actions consistently. All right, so that's all I'm going to do today, just the two. I feel really complete with these two, knowing that we have the Dalet with the super consciousness. We've set the four, the form, the foundation. We've opened up the door. We're acknowledging that to really secure that open door. And now that we've opened the door, all we need to do is be who we are. We opened the door to our truest self, and now it's time to crystallize that self. Everything that we've learned, everything that we've worked on in transforming ourselves inwardly and outwardly, all this work that we've done, we're now crystallizing it. We've opened up the door to crystallize this new form. We've set the foundation, and there's nothing we need to know or do, because the answers are inside. So just build from there. Stay connected to Source, and you will know the way. I love this. It's the door for the true form to come through. So if you want to know more about the Hebrew alphabet, I do include a little bit about the Hebrew letters at the end of every chapter in my book, which I was just leaning on to do this activation. It's called The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. You can find it on Amazon. You can also private message me, and I can send you a copy personally. And there's a short chapter. It's very easy to understand. Okay, it's not some crazy long book. It's very clear. It's very concise. There's a chapter on each of the archetypes within the tarot, which, by the way, means royal path. It was a system of guidance to the ancient Egyptian people. And so I talk about each of these archetypes as though they are aspects of the self, aspects of not only the individual mind, but the collective mind. And when you form relationships with each of these aspects of yourself, they become your alliance. They work together inside of you, and then ultimately through you, to bring healing to this world, to your world, to our world. And so it shows you how this royal path is all of life, that the universal language is symbolism. So tarot is not just a deck of cards. And again, at the end of every chapter, I give a little bit about the Hebrew letter correlation. There are many manipulations in modern decks, in modern tarot. But in here, I give you what I believe is the more ancient and true, authentic connection to the Hebrew alphabet. So check it out. If that's you, even if you've never been into divination or tarot or any of that, doesn't matter. This is more about understanding these different aspects of the self and how you can harmoniously unite them within your awareness so that when they express themselves through you, it's graceful. It's for the highest good of the one, in a way that helps to prevent crisis, and in a way that helps to activate the wisdom that's been in you all along. Okay, every Wednesday we do a class on Zoom, by the way, so that's coming up tomorrow. 11 a.m. Arizona time, we do a live class on the symbolism within the tarot. We are up to number 10 tomorrow, Arcanum 10, which is the wheel. And I'm so excited, you guys. I've been preparing for this class for 2 weeks because we skipped a week last week. So I've really been in that space of activating that archetype, and my notes are just ongoing. And I'm really excited to share with you guys. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to share about the wheel. All of the classes are recorded. So if you want to learn from me, if you want to learn how to read tarot, if you want to learn about occult symbolism, because the tarot is like the foundation of the occult world, of occult symbolism. So if you want to get into that world, this is a great way to begin. Like I said, all the classes are recorded. They're all donation based. So just reach out to me if you want in on that live class tomorrow. And also reach out to me if you want access to previous classes. I'm happy to share them with you. And I can't wait to see what you do with all the magical information. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this special weekly message. They happen every week. So I really look forward to it every week because I get so much out of these messages. A lot of people have said it's kind of like their little church or their temple, and it's basically just a space for us to feel inspired and activated and to connect with certain aspects of ourselves and of our collective self that will help us through whatever it is we're experiencing. It's just a message of positivity and inspiration, nothing more. Okay, it's magical, but it's very real. It's very simple. Magic is not some far out thing, it's inside of you. So thank you guys for opening up this portal with me. I cannot share on Facebook. Facebook has done some weird thing and has blocked me from even writing in my own groups. Which, by the way, if you want to be a part of those groups, I have 2 private groups called The Royal Path, where we share more about the classes, in between the classes that happen every week, and we share about the collective mind and what can help us expand in our awareness, archetypal awareness, archetypal communication and activation. I also have a private group called Shabbat Crew, and every Friday for Shabbat, I share the Torah Parsha, Torah portion story for the week. And you can see how when you extract the mystical understanding of that story, which I try to do every week, you could see how it's related to the activation of the week. You could see how it's so lined up with everything we're going through. So if you are into that Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, and you want to understand the technology of the Torah, which is for everyone, by the way, then go ahead and join my private group, Shabbat Crew. And like I said, I cannot share in these groups right now. Facebook has turned off that option for me. I cannot share for the next few days. So if you can share this message to those you think might appreciate it, I would appreciate it. The one appreciates it. Or share with your family and friends who are awakened, who are awakening, or who could use an awakening, right, from such a simple message as this. And the more amazing people who view this, who receive this transmission, the stronger the portal of this message is activated. So while we all connect to these aspects within ourselves, we're all connecting to these aspects within ourself. So it's not just that we've, for example, the Dalit that we pulled, it's not just that we're opening that door for ourselves. We together, like one giant hand, are opening the ultimate door. You know what I'm saying? It's happening on a microcosmic level and on a macrocosmic level. So how can we best support that? How can we think of the most amazing people we know, people that we honor and love and respect in our lives, who are working to bring more joy into our world, and share this message with them so that they activate this portal with us? There are brothers and sisters all over the world right now watching. Y'all are from places all over the world. I love seeing your messages. Go ahead and, before I close out the video, give us a comment. Where are you from? Say hello and let me know where you're watching from. I'm actually going to hang tight and I'm going to read your comments and see where you're checking in from. So to me, that brings me the most joy, seeing that global network of people all coming together in such a simple message. But again, it's timeless, it's universal, it's always helpful and applicable. Yeah, it's so good to see you guys. So we are weaving this web of light all across the world. You know? Houston, Phoenix, Pennsylvania, UK, Nebraska, North Carolina, Washington. Yeah, Kingman, AZ. Queens, New York, that's my hometown. If you guys didn't know, now you know. I'm from New York, Queens. Yeah, Philly, what's up? Switzerland, yeah. Romania, yeah, this is so awesome. So cool, Cottonwood, that's just 20 minutes away from me. Awesome. So it's Scotland, so cool. You guys just keep popping up. This is so awesome. Keep it coming. Brazil. So we're literally activating this message from all these places all over the world together as one, at once. Boston, Canada. Look at that. Boom, baby. Is that not amazing? And the thing is, we might not have, this message might not spread to 100,000 people. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And those of you who have stayed in this activation until this point right now, you've watched this whole thing, you really care. You are really present. You are really here and showing up and doing the work. I see you. So we might not have 100,000 people, but if we did, a lot of those people might not be contributing to the highest good, right? Because we trust. And we called this in the beginning of the activation. We trust that when we do this, we're doing it only for the highest good. So everybody that steps into this portal is really meeting at a specific frequency. And when we all meet there, something super powerful and magical happens. More UK, Nepal, awesome. So we're doing this, you guys. We're doing this. So many of you from UK, that's so awesome. So think about all your brothers and sisters who are typing right now, who are tuned in right now, who are showing mad love. I see you putting your hearts up there. Love it. Think about all of us. Can you feel it? Can you close your eyes for a second? Think about all these people in all these different places, all these different settings around the world, but still meeting in that timeless space of the heart, feeling that elevated frequency. And then after this activation, allowing that energy to be moved through us and into our world to do real magic. And that's what we're doing, real magic. So just look at your brothers and sisters posting right now and saying where they're from and know that you are so connected to all these beautiful beings. You're not alone on this mission. You never were, you never will be. All one, alone, all one. Alone or all one? So I encourage you guys to join the private group, the Royal Path, because that's a safe space for all of us to continue to connect there throughout the week. I don't encourage just like memes and things like that. It's a space for real mission work, you know what I'm saying? Like the real one mission. And I see you guys are all on that. So if you ever have something to share that you think we can all benefit from, that the hive mind could benefit from, that could really help us grow, especially around universal symbolism, archetypal activation and communication, because the archetypes is what it's all about. We are here to unite the many into the one. That's why you're all here. So we're on this collective mission. And so when we recognize these archetypes within us, we recognize them within each other, and then we begin to communicate from those deeper places within ourselves so that we can really actually do some work here. So I love this community being created from these activations. Thank you. Thank you. Next week will be the new moon activation. So remember that dark sky is just representing that fresh start, that cosmic womb of whatever it is you're going to birth at the end of that cycle. So we'll meet for that. And I'm really excited to see how this energy of connecting to source and super consciousness is going to manifest the next stage for us in a way that it really reflects our true nature, because we're going into this next cycle with such an openness that whatever is manifested from that space, I know is going to be powerful and beautiful and so magical. So I really look forward to staying on this ride with you all and watching where it takes us individually and collectively. All right, take 1 second before I end this video to just tune into that energy you've just been feeling while everybody said where they were from all around the world, checking in around the world, and just see everybody holding hands. Everybody's joining hands right now. Just for one moment. Even if just like 20 of us do this right now, it will be so profound. So just for those of you who are laughing at this and saying this is ridiculous, whatever, we still gonna do it. So close your eyes and imagine we're all taking each other's hands and we're floating in outer space, right? Around the earth. We're creating a circle around the earth. And we all are so happy and peaceful. We're all smiling and calm. And there's a ring of light that starts to manifest, connecting all of us and our hands that we're holding, right? It's like this ring, almost like you see like a ring around Saturn, right? Now we're creating this ring around the earth, but it's our own light. We are that ring of light. Right now in this moment and in every moment. Thank you for being a part of this ring of light with me, this circle of life that is a cycle never ending. Shalom. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for showing up for this activation. Go ahead and share. I can't, so I appreciate you doing that and just continuing to help us expand this portal even farther throughout this week, because it's all week. We don't have another activation until next week, so people can watch it at any point throughout this week. And even if somebody stumbles across this video on my YouTube channel, because that's where they go after here, by the way, the recordings get loaded to YouTube. Even if somebody finds it on my YouTube channel like a year from now and they watch it, they're going to receive this activation because it's recorded in the grid. You know what I'm saying? It's there. This portal is forever open. And I thank you for being the ones who opened it with me live right here, right now, today. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow if you wish to join the class on the wheel. It's going to be so exciting. If you wish to join it live on Zoom, just go ahead and message me. If you're not available at 11 a.m. Arizona time tomorrow, just ask me for the recording. Ask me for previous classes. Connect with me. Reach out. Private message me. A lot of you are asking how you can follow me. This is so weird. I'm really not the best with this kind of stuff. But I believe you can, while we're live, there's a way to, and maybe Nancy can help me out with this. There's a way that you can say to get notifications when I go live in the future. There should be a way to follow my Facebook page. A lot of people have said that they can't and they need to be friends with me in order to follow. But I don't manage my friends list. So if you've tried to add me a few months ago and you're still not accepted, I'm sorry. I can't, there's so many and there's like 1,000 friends requests and it's very overwhelming to go through. So it would be cool if somebody can figure out a way where you can follow me on Facebook and then let me know how you did that. And then of course, if you don't want to miss out and you can't figure out the Facebook thing, YouTube is always an option. You could just go to youtube.com/Rebecca Magic. And if you hit subscribe, you'll get notifications when these videos get loaded there. However, they won't be live, and I so love the live. Look at Nancy's comments right here, and she's so freaking helpful and supportive all the time. She knows all the ways, all the things, all the goods. Thank you. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will try to figure out a way for you guys to get notified when I go live, or how to follow me. Oh, she says you could just click follow on my page. Let me know if that works for you. But either way, it's all in divine order. I'm going to trust that. And thank you all over the world, my brothers and sisters all over the world. I will see you tomorrow for a ride on the wheel. Peace. Shalom.